We have bragged for several weeks now about the Knockouts division in Impact Wrestling. It just seems to get better and better and better at each passing week. And someone that has had some experience on that roster has returned to the roster, returned 2 weeks ago in a surprise move. She joins us now on the Vaqueros Cafe and Cantina hotline. One of the best wrestlers around the world, has wrestled everywhere. It is Tenille Dashwood. You can follow her on Twitter and Instagram at Tenille Dashwood. How are you doing, Tenille?
Oh, I like that intro. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. By the way, and you are from one of my favorite places on this planet outside of Texas. I had the privilege when I was back in my younger days serving my country. I had the privilege of visiting Australia. In fact, I had my first legal beer in Australia.
Oh, very cool.
This was in the early or late 80s, and just had a fantastic time. The people could not have been friendlier. I joked, we were in the Northern Territory, so we were in Darwin, and I joked that the Northern Territories in Darwin reminded me a little bit of West Texas. It's flat, people talk funny, and people drive funny, just like in West Texas. So I know you, and I know you're from Melbourne, correct?
That's right.
And I've heard Melbourne is just absolutely beautiful. I know there's a lot of natural beauty there. Give the folks a little bit of taste of what they would see if they ventured to Melbourne.
Well, where I'm from, I think a lot of people expect to just, when you go to Australia, you just see like kangaroos hopping around everywhere. But where I'm from in Melbourne, where I grew up, it's called Melbourne, but it's kind of the outskirts, like the suburban area. But not too far from me. You can basically drive to a beach. Like the St Kilda area is beautiful. There's piers and places to eat and drink along the water. You can go out on cool fishing trips. You can enjoy the city lifestyle. There's like a mixture of different things. It's very multicultural, which I love. Really, really good food, fashion, if you're into that. So it's kind of the ultimate place of a mixture of everything, all kinds of things to do. So I love it.
Oh, absolutely. Sounds fantastic. Speaking of food, I know you had a cooking show on YouTube, and I think that channel is still up. And of course, you've branched out into some traveling and some other things. But talk about how the cooking show, it was Taste of Tenille. Is that correct? Tell us how that developed.
That's it. Yeah. So Taste of Tenille is still live. Right now, basically it started as a show that I was kind of just filming myself at home to show people what kind of things I eat and kind of healthy alternatives to things you could cook at home. And the fans just loved it and jumped in on it. So it was like an experience we shared together for a number of years. More recently, I started it up again. Obviously, a lot of people are staying home right now, so I kind of used that as something to give people something to watch and things to try cook again, and ways to kind of be social without having to necessarily be around people or, interacting with people in person. So I brought it back to that. But my main, focus, obviously I love food, but my main, that all comes from my love for traveling. And I especially love my experiences with food in different cultures when I travel. So I basically have just Taste of Tenille is an evolved version now where I am traveling, and you'll see things I eat and my fitness and places I go adventure and outdoor activities and all kinds of things merged into one. So it's just an evolved version of Taste of Tenille now.
Okay, that's awesome. I saw one video that had you in Tulum down in Mexico, which is just a fascinating part of Mexico. Let me ask you this, talking about cooking, what's that one dish that you've got hands down that will rival any dish in any fine restaurant in the world?
I'm not, like, where do I start? But okay, let me go with this. It's a simple thing, but in Australia, I'm not sure if you tried this, and they have, I guess, more like an English thing as well, as they make scones, but they're not like American scones. They're a bit sweeter, fluffier. And you serve them with strawberry jam and like a thick dollop of like a heavy cream. And it's simple, but if you do it right, it's one of the best things ever.
So basically they're not as dense as, say, the scone I would find, say,
right.
at a Starbucks right down the road.
Yeah, I don't even eat scones, or however you say it here. I don't even eat them in America. But yeah, so it's a bit different than that. It almost reminds me more of a biscuit, I would say.
Okay.
But that's our version of a scone, yeah, and I love it.
That sounds tasty. Strawberry jam that's got to be tasty. You got to believe it.
It's the combination. You need the strawberry jam and the cream.
Okay. All right. That sounds wonderful. Mm-hmm. Talking with Tenille Dashwood here on Sports Guys Talking Wrestling. Tenille, as we mentioned, you returned to Impact Wrestling a couple weeks ago, made the surprise there during the black tie affair with Deonna Purrazzo. Just talk about returning to Impact, seeing the changes that have been happening, I would say evolution of Impact over the last several weeks. Just talk about what you have seen so far.
Well, obviously, Impact's been making some big moves, signing a lot of amazing talent. So they're really capitalizing on what's been happening right now in the wrestling world. And things are very exciting. Obviously, I took some time off and I was keeping an eye on everyone and everything that's happening. And I felt that it was my time now to step back in and to take that spotlight back. Obviously, Deonna Purrazzo has captured the Knockouts Championship, and getting a little big for her boots, I will say. And a lot of other stuff is going on. It's very exciting. So I just figured, you know what, I laid low for a while, but now it's my time to come back in and take the spotlight back.
And talk about, I mentioned during the beginning of the interview how stacked the Knockouts division. I say to this day, right now, Impact Wrestling probably has just about the best women's division in all of wrestling. And I'm sure you would agree with that.
I 100% agree, and that's part of what brought me back in. Is that it was time to get back in the mix and to enjoy the moment with all these amazing women wrestlers. So, it shows it's for itself. The product is amazing, and the talented women that absolutely love wrestling, and that oozes out of them. You can tell when they step in the ring how dedicated and how much they want to show the world how good they are. So that's what I love about Impact Wrestling.
Amazing. Besides Deonna Purrazzo, is there someone you're excited to be able to work with in Impact, work in the ring with, whether it's Jordan Grace or Tasha Steelz or Kiera Horgan or any of the other great athletes there in Impact?
Yeah, I will definitely say that I think Jordan Grace is one of the most talented wrestlers, period, out there. Deonna obviously is the Knockouts champion, so I definitely have my eyes on her. I will say we have had a couple of wrestling matches in the prior years, and she's never beaten me. So basically, when I want and when it's time, I'm going to take that championship. But if we're talking about other people, I will say that I have never stepped in the ring with Kylie Rae, and I think she's just an amazing talent. So I'm very excited for one day.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I got to know Kylie when she was working with Booker T down at Reality Wrestling down in the Houston area, and a really great wrestler, great athlete there. Talking with Tenille Dashwood here on Sports Guys Talking Wrestling. Tenille,
thank you. No, that's fine.
Tenille, one of the things that doing the research, and I've watched you for several years. Your time in WWE, and of course your time in Ring of Honor and elsewhere. One of the things that really caught my attention was a couple years ago when you made the announcement or disclosed that you had battled psoriasis, something you battled since you were a teenager, I believe. And I know you had a pretty bad bout of it a couple years ago. while you were wrestling on the independent circuit, and I think you were in Australia, in fact, at the time. And I know it's been kind of a battle mentally as well. Just talk about that disclosure and how the fans have accepted it, and how it seems like they've it kind of earned you a spot in their hearts even more with what you're battling with, and such.
Yeah, so I've had psoriasis since I was young. It kind of runs in my family. But psoriasis is actually a condition that many people have and often don't talk about. So for me, it definitely had an impact on my upbringing, my self-image and self-worth, and I had a lot of issues growing up. And I basically tried to find ways, whether it was to do with my diet, things I was eating, my fitness, and learning basically how to constantly improve myself, where I eventually got to this point where I still found a way to try or to make my dreams a reality. And I thought at that point it was important to share that message with my following, basically that you shouldn't let anything dictate your path or your future, or that anything let anything like that hold you back. And obviously, like I said, it was like I had some rough years, and even just recently in the last year or two, I still have psoriasis. It's something that oftentimes there's no cure for it, so it doesn't completely go away. You can definitely eat certain things and live a lifestyle where you keep it under control, or where people wouldn't notice, which is what has happened to me in the past. A lot of people just didn't know I had psoriasis even. So that's why I took to my social media to kind of share that with everyone and let people know the reality of things, because sometimes they see, a bunch of pretty pictures and this and that and think someone lives like this amazing life, but we all have, ups and downs and hard things that we go through. So I just kind of wanted to share something that was relatable and that people could see that, if I can do it, they can do it. So that was the whole purpose of that.
I admire that so much. Again, kind of that message of, no matter what your obstacles are, you can overcome it with the will, with the determination, and you've shown that. I mean, the pictures, you're a beautiful young lady, and it's always fun to see your pictures and see all the different travels. Let me ask you this, you mentioned food, and I know you are as healthy an eater as anybody around. You're vegetarian, vegan, correct?
I'm actually not, but oftentimes if, I'm having like a flare in my skin condition, or I'm feeling a bit, not quite myself,
right?
For a number of reasons, I will tend to go on more of like a vegan diet just to kind of re-energize and kind of detox myself.
Okay.
But I do, normally, I do eat meat here and there as well.
Okay. Let me ask you this. What's that one dish, say maybe a cheat day or just something you want, you're having a great day and you want to reward yourself. What's that one dish that you just have to have?
Cool. It's hard to pick just one thing. Because, like you said, I do eat healthy majority of the time.
Right.
But I could never be a vegan 100% because I absolutely love cheese, for instance. Mm-hmm. So I would say one of my go-tos, if I could have anything, would be just an amazing pizza. Probably would be, if I could pick one thing, I would say pizza, because I just love a cheesy, gooey pizza.
I have to laugh. So I was reading up on you, and I saw something where you had met Dustin Rhodes, like when I think you were a kid maybe, and you met Dustin Rhodes somewhere.
Yeah, very young.
Dustin's a great friend of mine, lives about 20 minutes from me, and that's Dustin's go-to. It's pizza. He loves pizza.
It's probably a lot of people's go-to.
You're probably right.
Pizza. Come on.
I mean, the times he and I have gone out for like a lunch or something, we're always at a pizza place. So it just made me chuckle. I love that. Talk with Tenille.
I support that. I support it.
There you go. Absolutely. Talk with Tenille Dashwood. Follow her on Twitter and Instagram at Tenille Dashwood, and find Taste of Tenille on YouTube. So Tenille, what are we looking forward to next in Impact? I know you want a shot at that Knockouts title. You've mentioned you want to get in the ring with Jordan Grace. Any other goals? Something I think could happen. Maybe, something that Impact may want to consider. Maybe women's tag titles. You've got such a stacked roster and some good pairings.
Well, you know what? Like I keep telling everyone, it's all about me. And me, there's no team in me. Well, I guess if you spell it different, but you know what I'm saying. I don't really need anyone else. I kind of like to have the spotlight. So I guess I would consider that eventually if I needed to. But for now, I mean, I'm actually doing a lot of traveling still, and working on my travel influencer, my YouTube videos. I'm currently in Jamaica, so everyone can stay tuned for the next Taste of Tenille YouTube video coming of my Jamaica trip. And then, like I said, Jordan Grace, I've already been in the ring with her, but lately she kind of is on my case and doesn't seem to leave me alone. So I don't know if there's a little bit of jealousy there, or maybe she feels like she's missing out because I've been living my life to the fullest and she hasn't. But she's one that's kind of not leaving me alone right now. So for that sake, we're going to have a match. But other than that, I'm definitely planning on being the Knockouts champion. I've already beaten Darren in the past, so it's just a matter of time.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. I think it is just a matter of time. Maybe Bound for Glory in October, or maybe sooner than that. We'll see. She is Tenille Dashwood. Catch her on Impact Wrestling Tuesday nights on Access TV, and again, follow her on Twitter and Instagram at Tenille Dashwood. Check out her YouTube show, Taste with Tenille, where she talks about tasting, traveling, and all sorts of good stuff. Tenille, it's so good to talk to you. As I said, I've enjoyed your work throughout the years, wherever you've been. I look forward to big success from you. Thanks so much for giving us your time, and all the best to you and yours.
Thank you, and you as well.